Welcome back to the BigCheese AI Podcast. I am your host today. My name is Sean Hise, and I'm here with my boys that don't get to have any music when they're talking. Threw you for a loop there. What's up, Brandon?
Hello, everybody. I'm Brandon.
What's up, Jacob?
Hello. And Brandon, let me ask you a question. Is it bright in here? Is that the situation?
Bright. This is what we're gonna be. This is what we're gonna be rocking this time. We're gonna be sitting here mainly because fuck all of you.
Oh,
that's why.
All right. So we let's get right into it. Okay. So AI, blah blah blah. It's been a big week, and unfortunately, we have to talk about Elon Musk again and his company X AI that's got GPUs.
Yes.
What's going on? Because it's all over the internet. Grok is back, baby.
Grok is back, and basically, so the Grok 3 has been released from the X AI team. A lot of people are saying that this is on point with O1. That it's the, you know, again, anytime anybody releases a new model, it's the greatest thing. Here's all the benchmarks that we're able to build it to beat. And really, I don't use it. I don't know how many people use it. Like, what was funny is we do have this screenshot. We won't necessarily read the screenshot, mainly because it's not loading on my computer unless Jacob wants to read it. But somebody just basically went in there and asked Grok 3 if Elon was a racist, and it went on this whole diatribe.
well, isn't that his whole thing, that his model is unadulterated, or like
it is
unfiltered or whatever?
But here's an interesting thing that's happening, is that OpenAI is going to do it too.
Ooh.
So OpenAI has said that they're going to be reducing their guardrails, they're going to be reducing the restrictions, and what's very interesting is that it seems to very much just align with whoever the current administration is.
Well, meanwhile, Gemini has agreed to remove black people from the signing of the Declaration of Independence images.
Dude, Gemini has the most annoying feature of all time. What the fuck was I asking it the other day? It was medical advice. I had LASIK last week. It's not a big deal. But
Look, you're not wearing your glasses?
They go. But I was like, hey, I have this condition or this thing. What's happening? And every fucking question was, I'm not a medical doctor. I can't give you medical advice, but the internet says this. And it repeated it every single time. The whole spiel.
That's what it's like to use AI in Europe.
Is it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So that's actually an interesting thing, and I've never actually thought about this. But the reality is obviously Europe has all of these restrictions. When we went over to Ireland for my parents' 50th anniversary or whatever it was, that just using the internet was a wild experience because so much of it was localized that you don't realize how much of your stuff is actually localized, right? You just think that you're on the internet, right? And then you realize, oh my God, no, I'm on Ireland's internet. And now everything that I'm seeing here is very much tied to them. It's censored by them, the things that they allow, the things they don't allow. Like, that was a really fucking wild experience, was having that and seeing it there. So anyway, yeah, that was crazy. And I guarantee that I want to now go and get on a VPN, drop into Ireland, and use some of these AI models to see like how different it would actually be. Is it different?
Yeah. I don't know, but I did see a really funny story about an Ireland dude the other day. You know those portals that are like between cities?
Yeah,
so
this dude, New York and Ireland had one, or Dublin.
Yeah, this guy was like, he had a sign that was like, be my friend, you know, here's my phone number. This fucking bro from Ireland was like texting him, and the whole thing is for views, but he went over to Ireland and like hung out. They flew out that day and just fucking got beers with this guy. And they're just like all these epic pictures of them hanging out throughout the night. And I'm like, that's awesome,
dude. So okay, I'm gonna tell you that the sorry, I just got told that I gotta get this mic.
Yeah, I double as producer, and yes, so like when anyone's not doing the right thing, so you see me looking around. It's me.
there, it's in my grill. But so I go out to Ireland and with my family and all that, and I'm just kind of like, okay, you know, it's fun, family, blah 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 blah. But I finally just need a break, so I go and I wander around, and we're at this hotel, and there's just a bunch of lads sitting in the middle of this courtyard, and they're like, hey, come on over. And I ended up spending 6 hours with these guys into the wee hours of the night, and they're just telling the funniest damn stories. They're like, you want a spliff? I'm like, thank God, yes, I want a spliff, right? Like, again, just a little tobacco.
We know what a spliff is.
Little.
And
it was just, but what was the funniest part is the guy just kept telling stories, and he would roll this spliff, and he would tell stories, and he would tell stories, and he must have rolled this thing for 4 hours before he finally passed it. And everybody was just like, but it was the greatest time I've ever had, just hanging out with a bunch of dudes, telling a bunch of stupid ass stories, and it was hilarious. And that will go down as one of the greatest nights that I've ever had.
Well, the point here is that Gemini sucks. But no, the point we're getting back to is there's a new model and it's great, and it's like yawn. You know, we keep getting these models and they're better than the last. I think every model, I mean, who's going to put out a model that isn't on par or good as the latest model? Like if you release a model like, hey, we just came out with our new model. It's a 15th best.
Right.
I hope you like it.
Well, and so that's what I don't necessarily understand what the plan is. Cause like everybody's like, okay, now this is as good as 01 or it's as good as 03. Well, what's OpenAI already working on then, right? They already have. So where we know that OpenAI is going to be going is, I think finally they're going to correct their naming problem here. That they're going to say that 4.5. I think what's going to happen is we're going to get away from these models being the center point.
That it has to be. I mean, that's the point. Is everything has been the model. It's like, well, my model's somewhat a commodity in my workflow. It's the application of the model that is the moat for me.
Yeah. So one of the things that I saw, and I'm going to give prompt privacy some props here.
We're back to blowing prompt privacy. Congratulations.
So they rolled out an autopilot feature for before, again, same exact thing. You could select from 150 different models, right? Well, you never know what models are actually relevant. And so they've set up an autopilot feature that basically whatever your prompt is, you go in, it's 2 shots. The first shot is basically saying, what model should we use? What tools should we use? What data should we use? All of these things. And then we get all of that. And now we go and we decide, here's the model we're sending this all to. Boom. And then you give it to the model. That's exactly what ChatGPT is going to do. You're going to start interacting with ChatGPT. You're not going to be thinking of models or versions. You're just going to be talking to it. Behind the scenes, it's going to say, this person just asked this one thing. I need to use DALL-E to generate an image. Oh, he asked for something highly fucking complicated. I'm going to use 03 for reasoning.
Yeah, the whole user experience of switch between models
it's going to be dead.
I've gotten stuck where I'm like on 03 and I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't trying to get a book written for me.
Right.
I just want to know how to write some code.
Totally.
03 is funny because it's good. It is pretty good. Even the mini one. But they're like reasoning, like the user wants me to do this. Here's the steps I'm going to take. And I'm like, yes, I will
never use a reasoning model. I am Mr. Please give me answer now. I really don't. I need to. If it's wrong, I'll find out in 5 minutes.
By the way, we were talking about that mixture of experts model, which Google. Leave it to fucking Google. Android does this shit all the time, where they come out with a feature years and years before Apple, but they don't know how to fucking sell it. Right. Like, what is wrong with them? I have a bunch of Google stock, and I'm still sitting here like, what the fuck are you doing? You're winning.
I will say, so Gemini has basically been forced into Google Workspace. I mean, did you opt our org into it?
No. They
stop it.
I didn't click anything.
I thought it was Jacob. So Jacob's like he's our CTO. So he's the guy that's like, if someone's going to make a change to Google Workspace, which is what we run all our stuff on, it's going to be him. Well, one day Gemini's just in there.
That's crazy because
they just dropped it in, dude.
So historically, Google and Workspaces, you had to opt in for everything.
Dude, Gemini just Trojan horsed into everyone's Google Workspace.
That's hilarious.
And it's one of those things where if you see, let me write this email for you 100 times, on the 100th time,
you're going to do
it. You go, you know what? I'm gonna just let me see what it does.
So do we? Then that means we have that for our big cheese. Then we should, right?
I mean, yeah. But the thing is that Gemini is being forced down your throat. But I don't think we're paying any extra for it.
They were charging. at the beginning. So that was a big shift in Google's approach. It was like a $20 a month add-on or something, and then they were like, "Nope, we're going to give it to you for free."
As they should, though. I mean, because again, their model is ads. So
you're the product. Don't you realize that?
Right. Yeah.
So your data was what they want.
Right. So why would they not just be like, fuck this? We're just going to make everything absolutely free.
There's, the reason is because it's not cheap to do all this stuff.
No, it's not. But nevertheless, like Amazon, Google, I mean, all of these companies have been comfortable like losing millions and millions of dollars.
So platform companies are going to continue to cut the way that they charge for AI to the point that it's free. Oracle, if you go watch CNBC,
Gemini is here to save you, baby. I just logged into our BigCheese
So
email.
if you press continue, for the rest of your life, Gemini will be on your data.
Oh, fuck yeah.
All you do is press one blue button and you've opted into them harvesting all your data for their AI models.
Yeah.
I'm sure I read that, right?
But get back to Oracle. Or if you watch CNBC, which I do, which is it's always been probably the most, besides Bloomberg, I think it's the best. Bloomberg does a great job of reporting what's going on in the world, even if it's financial related. You'll figure out what's going on in Asia, things you would never have known. And if you're in Indy, by the way, if you have an HD radio, go to 103.3, not X103, but 103.3, the HD2 channel.
Yeah,
that's Bloomberg.
Really?
You can get Bloomberg on your radio, and it's fantastic, and it's the international Bloomberg. But CNBC is good, but it's the stock ticker of the old days,
Yeah, right.
But Oracle advertises on CNBC, and Oracle on all of their ERP platforms, they're advertising that the AI is free. There is no extra charge for their AI integrations.
Yeah.
You.
Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back. So what we're going to talk about now is the HP acquiring the Humane Pin. And if you remember, it's probably, I don't know, season 2, I'm sure we probably talked about it. Basically, it's a little pin that you'd put on your little titty, and you could like tap to it, and you could talk to it, and it would certainly do a lot of things. And it had like this laser thing where you could put your hand out, and it would display some things on your screen. No one really liked it. It apparently got really hot. It was buggy. It was problematic, very much like the R1, where you get these like very inventive CEOs who come up with this idea, and then people give them a lot of money, and then they go and they build a shitty product that doesn't actually go anywhere. However, HP ended up acquiring them and their 300 patents. So apparently they had 300 patents. So there's a value there. And if there's anything that you can learn through this experience here is that if you really want to have value, you need to have your patents. And as somebody who is anti-capitalistic as I am, and who I hate patents, I hate the idea of patents because it's basically just to make it so that you limit other people from being able to do things and to compete in a natural market. However, doesn't change the fact that this HP pen was kind of dog shit, and they still got bought, even though it was a failure. And it got bought because they had those 300 patents. But they are going to stop the sales of it. They're basically moving everything over into what they're calling now the HP IQ, which I guess is going to be their like probably intelligence, quotient group within HP. So nevertheless, that pen concept was a good idea. Failure is the execute, which I think we're going to see that just over and over and over again for probably the next 5 years until we actually get a whole line of new products.
Jacob and I had this conversation with this client. Actually, it wasn't even a client. It was like literally we are talking to someone about hosting a website. And it was like, it's the most basic thing we offer. And Jacob gets on the phone with this person, and this person's like, "Who the hell are you?" And then they're like,
What?
They're like, basically like, we don't like it when people hold other people's website hostage by hosting it on their behalf. Like, and I don't know. Can you explain their reasoning? Because there's a point with the HP thing of what was their reasoning of saying like, what's happening here if we host someone's website?
It was okay. It was a valid. So first of all, I think they were very threatened because we were taking over their hosting or whatever. But they were basically like, we don't believe in holding our clients hostage. So essentially, they saw it as like if we were to host their site, we would have leverage over them.
But yeah.
And that would be holding them hostage. They think the client should own the hosting. And I was like, that's fine. We encourage clients to host their own stuff too if they want to.
Yeah.
But if they don't or can't, we can also accommodate that, right? We have a shared hosting platform that we can put them on. That's, anyway. But the point about the humane pen, I feel like.
No, the point about HP. How are they still a company?
Dude, so
you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's companies like HP and IBM and CDW Wonder.
Yeah.
It's like companies that are stuck on Windows environments. They're stuck in tech. They're stuck in mass user tech. They're stuck in LDAP. They're stuck in Active Directory.
But I'll argue though that IBM said, fuck it. We're dipping on the hardware. They killed hardware.
Oh,
years ago.
They've been doing managed infrastructure forever. They sit on every mainframe in the United States.
Sure. And they still own COBOL, right? Like, so they still own like all this old stuff. Now they have Watson. So the one thing, so I will give IBM. I don't know how. Again, it seems like once a company gets so big and that they just get their tentacles into the things long enough that they can just kind of continue to just milk the systems and just like they just have this ability to survive.
I think the holy grail, if you get to that size, is you get your tentacles into a corporation.
Right.
And
IBM's secret sauce is sign $1 billion contract.
Yeah.
Come in for the first year, overstaff it, take over a bunch of people's jobs that worked at that company,
right?
Have them pass all the knowledge down, right? Take that knowledge, completely let everyone that worked at that company turn over, right? And so now they're the only ones with any knowledge of how this company works. And then the next thing they do is they pull the rug out 3 years later and cut their staff on it by to like 25%. And so now they own all of your IP.
Yep.
And they're staffing you 25% they did in the first 3 years.
Yeah, so Watson Watson now, I saw that there's very specifically going to build Watson for COBOL. And I actually
that's a smart idea.
It's a brilliant idea. So they own COBOL. There's just not a lot of COBOL, and I've talked about this. I don't know if this ever made it on the show before, but there's not a whole lot of COBOL in GitHub. So there's not a lot of knowledge of COBOL in these LLMs.
And COBOL is the language that is basically controlling a lot of the banking sector, a lot of the insurance sector, a lot of the financial services.
Yeah.
Like there's old school mainframe.
1953 is when COBOL was released. So this just tells you how old this language is.
And they're very, very like step-by-step procedural programming concepts.
I won't even pretend to understand how COBOL works. I did get pulled into a project to be able to try to even document COBOL. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm just going to take the COBOL's code and I'm just going to throw it into an LLM and be like, document this, right? And thinking, because like I could do that with JavaScript. No, sir. Like it's just a totally different world over there in this COBOL space.
Well, then IBM's positioned to program and have their system learn from all these other, and that would probably be a good use case. Is like if I was Anthem and Humana and Bank of America, let's say we're all three of us have similar mainframe backends for our processing systems. And, 30, 40 years of code written into those systems. I'm not saying any of those companies have mainframes, although I know one of them. I know one of them do. I know at least one of them do. But my point is, like, they should get together, and that's actually a benefit. Like, IBM has all those contracts. Yeah. They should let them train it.
No, there's going to be a very
just don't let Elon train it because he doesn't understand how the date property works and the default date property works in COBOL.
There's no doubt that there is a reckoning happening. That there are a ton of COBOL developers who are now in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who are dying with a ton of knowledge that has never been captured. that's never been documented, that's never been anything. So whoever really can figure out how to crack the COBOL nut to basically not only say, okay, here's our entire project, here's the data that it think about databases back then when they were trying to work on shit and like what's that actually look like. To be able to have an AI to be able to navigate these legacy systems, to be able to properly understand how they're supposed to work, what all the business processes are, what all the business rules are, to then say, okay, now here's how we migrate that to a new modern platform.
You know what's really crazy is my dad's 72 years old. Him and I used to reprogram DOS in our compact Presario to juice it up so we'd have enough RAM to play Carmen Sandiego or in space. Right? Like that was like a memory hog back in the day.
Yeah.
But like we're basically at the point where every human that has above the age of 18 that is alive in this country has experience using a computer and has lived through the computing era.
Yeah.
And almost all those people, like my dad was what? He was 1952. So he's in his 30s when AOL comes out. He's in his late 30s. You know, you can't fool these guys. They're smart guys. I mean, they grew up with the DOS. They know spreadsheets. They know a lot of them are very like savvy, right? And I mean, maybe it's just the accountants and things like that. But like, you basically have like almost all living humans, either most of them, maybe you need 10 more years, but basically everyone that's alive now has grown up, has lived through the computing era, the personal computing era.
Right. So, but here's something that's kind of interesting that I'm not 100% sure how I rectify this is that, so I have to help my parents who are baby boomers, set up their technology, set up computers, whatever. I also have to help my son, right? Like I would have expected that the next generation should be better at technology than we were. And I don't
They're
see
worse.
it. They're worse.
Why is that?
Because they were born into it. Because it just existed.
It just existed.
Yeah, I straight up had a typing class in middle school, and I had AOL, and I was like trying to chat girls up. For me, it was like,
Hell yeah.
Dude, it blew my daughter's mind the other day when so I've got all my kids now. Well, not all my kids. And my youngest, I do not. I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. Okay. My 10-year-old's almost 11, 5th and 6th grade. They do not have iPhones. If they want to buy an iPhone, they can buy it themselves when they're 18 years old. I'm not buying them one.
Damn,
And they're not getting phones. They can figure it out. If they want to buy a phone, they can buy their own phone.
You won't stop them. You won't stop them.
No, they won't have an iPhone. They won't have anything that if they want to buy.
No! You're changing your tone. You just said if they want to go buy a $599 iPhone.
I mean, we could have a discussion, but they're not having something that they can get on social media. They're not going to be allowed on social media until they're adults.
Really?
No, it's trash. It's terrible.
Right.
They can call me.
That's not about you.
Yeah, it's about them.
Right.
It's about them. It's about their safety.
Isn't that funny though? Like you won't let them do it because you know how bad it is, but we do it.
No, I mean I've seen it too many times.
Right. But let me ask though, the what will be interesting is the anytime for me at least, my personality. The moment that you tell me no, right? The moment that you say, Brandon, you're not allowed to do this, you're like, motherfucker, then that means I absolutely
totally agree. My best friend's mom was so weird about candy. Now he's the biggest candy eater of all time. Right. I think that though is that you have to be in a nurturing home where they respect that decision.
Right.
Like if they're sitting there going, I want a phone, I want a phone, I want a phone, we'll have a conversation. My kids aren't. My daughter's the only one of her friends that doesn't have a phone. She's never once asked for a phone.
Right.
Yeah.
We did the same thing with my son, where he did not have like a high tech phone. Hell, even to this day, his phone's pretty janky. He's 22 years old.
Well, and Brandon, I think a lot of these kids that they kind of reject that stuff a little bit. But I want to get back to your original question,
right?
Which is why don't they know how computers work? And it's because they never had to figure it out.
No.
It was just presented to
And
them.
it always works. And this is going back now to my argument that in a lot of respects, I think that the usability, like that when Steve Jobs came and made the usability thing happen with Apple, and then everybody said, okay, usability has to be a critical element here. We've got to make these things so fucking easy to use that even idiots can use it, and you don't have to have any critical thinking anymore. You can just go in, you can just do it, and you're like, look at me, I'm using these things, right? Before, you used to have to like think. You have to kind of work through it, and so now you don't have to do that anymore, and what does that do to a person?
It's well, first of all, they don't know how to type. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
They do not know how to get onto. So I blew my daughter's mind when I got her on. Like, you remember those old like typing apps, like where the words would fall from the
hell
screen,
yeah,
and you would like try to beat it.
Yep.
I find there's
great.
stuff. They're great.
Yeah.
And teach you home row and certain things. Like
Davis speaking.
They don't teach. They don't teach these. They put Chromebooks in these kids' hands, but they don't teach them how to use computers.
Right.
They tell them, hey, go click on this thing, and everything they do is point and click. There's no typing.
Right.
And if there is typing, they're sitting there and hunting pecking. But there's no like, you're going to need to take, like my keyboarding teacher was my baseball coach. And if you didn't type 60 words a minute, you had to stay after. Mm-hmm. Like this dude ran keyboarding like he ran a baseball team. If you weren't locked in, like, and all of us are just absolutely amazing typers.
Right.
And now you're getting to the point in the future where it's like, well, you don't even really need to type because AI is just basically going to express. You just basically throw out some thoughts, and then
I know because I do it. I use it every day. I'm just like, hey, I don't have to type a whole lot of stuff. And actually, like a lot of times, if there's now like this long conversation or a long thing that I have to report to a customer or like a client or a prospect, if I need to report a statement of work to a prospect, you want to know what I do now? The first thing I do is I go to ChatGPT, I start the chat, and hey, what's up? And it's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, all right, we're going to talk about this, and this is what we're going to do, and blah, 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 blah. And I will have a 45-minute long conversation with the advanced voice on ChatGPT about everything that I'm thinking about this client, about what their problem is, what I think that we could potentially do with some ideas and like take it different directions. And I'm like, let's just have conversation about this now. And we'll go back and forth, and we'll have a bunch of questions. I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty good. Go ahead and generate me a statement of work for this. And there it is. And then I go through and I'll kind of correct it and do whatever. I mean, so I do it, and like, I don't know what happens. Like, do I eventually forget how to write?
Yeah, it's like, it keeps coming back to like, are we the main character in this story? Like, if you were born between the years of well, I'm just including your ass because you're old as fuck. But if you were, I'm excluding you. If you were born in like 1981 to 1986, like you've grown up through all these transformational eras, right? I was 17 in 9/11. I was 9 when AOL 2.5 came out, right? I was 16 when I got cable internet, right? I was 24 when the iPhone came out.
We are 10, we're 10 years apart.
I was 20 when I first logged into Facebook.
I was 22 when the financial crisis hit, and I thought I was
Oh,
going to
you were only 22.
Because you're like 14,
22, 23.
right?
Yeah, I was 20. Yeah, I missed that. But it's like we got to figure out how to basically build computers.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
I built computers when I was a kid.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Also, I just did a typing test while we
Oh,
were
I knew you were going to.
Yeah.
So how we do?
I did 62 words per minute, and I've had 3 beers. So it's not too bad. 100% no typos because I went back and fixed them all. Probably was a lot faster, but I did a lot of backspacing. Gotta fix those errors.
So-
I do
so-
miss Mavis Beacon though.
There was so back when we were kids, things were not well defined. And so like right now, when you guys go to websites and you just see everything's like usable, everything's beautiful, everything's like we all know, like anytime you can come to either of you can go to Crafted, you can go to Happy Data, and you can be like, hey, we need to build this. We probably 99% of the time know exactly what we need to design, what we need to build. The design patterns have been defined, everything's standard. We just know what to do, and we can just go do that. Back then, This shit was the Wild West, man. And you had very limited resources. You had no memory. You had nothing. So you had to get really, really creative back then. And you did have to understand just how things fundamentally worked. Now you can be like, fuck it. I'll just go and throw WebKit into here and this and have 500 megabyte downloads for an application and whatever. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So you did have to have a special kind of mentality I'm not sure what it means when the kids that are growing up today just never had to have that. Well, and it just might be that I'm an old fucking person now and it doesn't matter.
Do you remember sprites?
Oh, hell yeah. I still think about sprites.
We were so concerned about image size that we were like, what if we put 38 images on one image and just offset the XY coordinates so we could get to the new one?
How great was that, though?
It was great, but also it was a pain in the freaking ass.
Such a nightmare.
Let's take it one step further. There's actually a company that's I think I bookmarked their tweet today. I was like, Rise. I think it was Rise. I need to post it we need to remember to post this in the comments. But they're basically, their premise is, why did Steve Jobs kill Macromedia Flash, which was ultimately Adobe Flash, which was an embeddable third-party tech that you can embed in browsers, which enabled a lot of creativity on the web. Like you had to download the plugin, the Flash plugin from your browser, but essentially you could embed ActionScript apps, which were like it was a pretty heavy media.
It's amazing.
So, I mean, you could build video games, you could do all, and it's weird because like my kids are playing these really crazy video games in the browser now, and I'm like, are those like Java applets? I don't even know.
Canvas.
Are they all Canvas apps?
Oh yeah. So Canvas, man, the things you can do with Canvas now is really, really crazy. So yeah, most of them are probably going to be Canvas based.
But are they still writing all that with JavaScript?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. There's a bunch but there's a bunch of different libraries that are available out there. So you can do there's specific game engines that are just available in JavaScript that just
render to Canvas.
Yeah, that just render to Canvas. You can put in your sprites. They're called sprites there for that.
Yeah.
Same
But
premise.
Flash's secret sauce was the platform. It was ActionScript and Flash. It was the development environment, right? I mean, it wasn't necessarily the plugin. Like it was the fact that
Flex. So
I loved Flex.
Flex was so fucking badass. So Flex really, for me,
Flex was an Adobe product.
It was an Adobe product. It came out and it was basically taking and saying, hey, we're going to give you a full IDE and a whole development language, a whole interface library, basically all. It was, if you imagine like what almost Swift is like today. They had that with Flex, and you could go in, you could build these amazing applications. It was all rendered in Swift. You had these data attributes. I mean, it was great.
I was in the Adobe Flex user group at IU.
Yeah.
And I went and did a demo.
Yep.
And I was 17. I was 20, and I went and did a demo in front of a bunch of professors, and they're like, the user group was not students.
Yep.
It was all people that worked at IU.
Right.
And I did my demo, and it was cool.
Yeah.
And they sat there and grilled me on it. They weren't jealous, but they were like, did you they didn't think I did it.
Sure. Dude, so I had the same exact experience. So the SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management, a huge organization for all HR things. One of the companies I was working for, we were going to sponsor their event down in New Orleans, and I ended up building a whole career site thing using Flex, and it was this, and shit would fly around and had all this. It was crazy, and no one could believe that was the first thing that I ever built with Flex, because I went to one of the Indianapolis Flex group or Flash groups, and I gave a demo on what I built, and they're like, "This is the first time you've ever built Flex?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, this is how fucking amazing this thing is. Like the things you can build with it."
But Brandon's like the guy who shows up and everyone's like, "Oh, here's my MVP," and Brandon walks in and he's like, "Oh, I spent 3 hours on this," and it's it does 10,000 more times stuff that Terrace does, and you're like,
it was cool.
Who is this drunk? What do we got, Brandon?
All right, next up we have our Swedish company, and I can't remember their name, Clarna. So Clarna came out The idea basically being the CEO saying, hey, we saw that they offered a bunch of all of their customer service stuff. They saw that they could use an AI chatbot, that they would actually get pretty good results. So they figured they could just fire all their customer service and just use AI for that. And that was kind of a big news thing that happened a few, 3-4 months ago. Well, apparently, come to find out, it didn't go exactly as planned. And this is exactly what we've been talking about for a long time. Companies are going to lean too hard into AI, thinking that you can just have AI without the human element of this and not shoot yourself in the fucking foot. And that's exactly what happened. Now, his post, he's talking about, hey, we just, we had an epiphany, and in a world of AI, nothing will be as valuable as humans. Right, that's the CEO speak that he's kind of coming back and being like, "Oh,
please come back to work, because I know we fired all of you, but we really want some goodwill here." So
they basically just shat the bed, put all of their investment into AI, and it just wasn't working for them. And so that's the other thing that we have to remember here is that use AI, absolutely use AI. Do not use AI to replace your humans. Use AI to empower your humans. Give your humans now the ability to take a deep breath, to use their creative faculties, to do the things that humans are good at, to allow the AIs to do the shit that they're good at, and that's where you're going to find the best medium for your business. And it's not just going to be, hey, just swipe all these people away, pretending as much as your capitalistic instincts tell you that you should ultimately replace all these humans with AI because you can. Just remember that you actually need humans to buy your shit, so don't do it. That's my stance.
I like it.
And then, any thoughts on that one?
Well, I have not super related, but I was mulling this over. I've been we've seen the marketer, the writers, visceral reaction to AI, right? Like you see on LinkedIn, people being like, you can always tell it's an AI generated thing because it has too many emojis and blah, 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 blah. And I do agree that sure, we need to be diligent and responsible with how we're using AI. But also I think it's dismissive of I'm not a great writer. And there's plenty of people out there who aren't great writers, and they can use AI to empower themselves to do better and to get over writer's block and all that stuff. So there's a middle ground here where it's not, here's the spectrum that we're seeing is AI is the worst thing ever. Humans are the only people who could ever do anything right. And then there's the business people that are AI is going to replace all humans and we should just kill them and replace them with AI. The middle ground is what we've been talking about since day one, which is, okay, it can make good people great. It can make okay people good. Yep. Let's just use it to what is the saying? A rising tide shits in the woods. Shits in the woods.
Rising tide shits in the woods.
Shits in the woods with the bears and the sharks.
No. So the guitar string that's too tight snaps, and it's too loose you can't play. Right, it's the middle way, and it's that middle way is everything that you're going to find in your life.
Yeah, and I don't,
the way to go.
I don't want to dismiss people who are real. We're programmers, and yes, a junior shouldn't think now I can write whatever because I have AI. Right. I get the creative people who are a little defensive of their profession, the thing that they've perfected and they're really good at. I don't want to be dismissive of that at all, but I also don't want to enable the business people that are we fire you now. But
right.
I was in a networking event, which I do not like networking events, but also it's just because I'm being annoying about things, and it was fine. It was good, but it was good. It was good. No, I liked it. I just don't like being fake.
I know. Yeah.
But anyways, two people asked me. So many people asked me.
Everybody's
been asking me. That's the worst way to start a comment ever. Two people asked me. They said, "Well, you're in development. What do you think about AI?" And there's such a sense from people. All these people are in the services business, right? They're all on the soft. They're all white collar, knowledge workers with knowledge businesses. They're selling marketing. They're selling sales. I love people that sell sales. I sell sales. I make your sales better. I make your marketing better.
You better be pretty good at selling yourself.
I sell sales. Make your sales better selling.
There's a Dr. Seuss book in there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I make you better at what you do versus actually doing it, which is what we do, we do the things. But there was like this sense in all their voices, like, what do you think? What do you think about that? What do you think about that shit? Are you gonna live? Are you gonna survive? Or are you getting replaced? And I'm like that's not even the question to me. The question is, what are you doing about it?
Right.
How are you using it?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go and you're going to say, well, this is affecting the world, I'm going to do what I always did. If Facebook invents React and they say that it's going to reinvent the way you build user interfaces, well, I'm going to spend the next month of my life researching how that works.
Exactly.
And guess what? Now it's 2 years later, and now I use AI every day, and it makes me way more productive. Exactly. It didn't replace me, and it's not going to, because now I'm on the top of that knowledge.
Man, you know what? And I think that maybe that is the biggest issue with people who are not creators, right? That they do not understand that what we're going to do is we're going to create. We're going to create using the platform, and that's what we've always fucking done. Give us tools, and we're going to create. And so when they're like, well, what's AI going to do? We're going to fucking use it as the tool that it is.
Yeah, when you said I used Adobe Flex and I used Adobe Flex, least surprising thing I've heard all day.
Right.
Right? Because, we all live in the same world, and it's like, this dude's a creator. He doesn't care what it is. He's just going to use the stuff and make the stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and that is the difference. So all these people who are like doom and gloom that AI is going to take our jobs and AI is going to take jobs. Of course. Guess what? So did the manufacturing processes that we came up with. So did, like the ways that we cultivate, the fields now, like that got rid of jobs. So jobs are going to go away. That's just the way that things work.
And farmers, let's be honest, a farmer that farms his land now, he doesn't farm his land the same way he used to farm that land.
No, not at all.
No, he's got advanced technology.
Right.
Right. He there's companies that are doing, what I mean? It's not the same.
No.
Right. It's and there's people that are old school and they can keep doing their stuff in their old school, and maybe they're really successful at that.
Sure.
Right. And maybe that doesn't affect all industries, whatever. But there's also people that are just constantly evolving. That's just the difference in certain people.
Right.
And I think the argument from like an Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir, who, by the way, pulled the rug on everyone and sold $1.2 billion of his stock this week.
Oh, no shit.
He just thinks the pendulum is not going to swing the other way. Like, it's already swung. Like, if you don't adopt, you're going to die. And that's a really good way to sell to Ford's CEO and like all these, defense, the U.S. government and all these places where it's like, if you don't do this, you're going to fail. You're going to die. And maybe he's right, but it's happened before. It's happened in other industries, right. And the answer to all these questions is adapt or die.
Yeah,
adapt or die.
That's it. And it's no different than it has been for the last 300 million years. Adapt or die. And that's it. So either you're going to be in this new environment, you can scream and fight and try to stop technology all you want. We know that never actually does a damn bit of good. That technology, it's almost like technology has bred us to be able to manifest itself. Whole different conversation. It's not going to stop. So you either adapt or you die, and that's ultimately, that's it.
Well, I think that's a good way for us to end the BigCheese AI podcast.
Adapt or die.
This has been the BigCheese AI Podcast with your hosts, Sean Hise, Jacob Wise, and Brandon Corbin. I am armed with sound effects. We'll see you guys next week.
Watch out now.